Got a minute after 10. I'll go ahead and get started. I know some others will be joining us. Yeah, good morning. My name is Condon, your probate judge for Charleston County. My our community outreach coordinator, Jamie Robinson's on also. She's the one that has emailed you the various materials and the link for today. If at any time you have any questions, just stop me and be happy to try to answer those. We'll try to look our objectives for today. Just talk about probate court, its jurisdiction and functions. We'll talk about estate planning for every family. And we'll talk about elder law. We'll touch on a few resources that can be helpful there. And then and mental illness and alcohol and drug substance use disorder affects all of our family members. So we'll talk about the civil commitment process. And we'll talk about guardianship and conservatorship and how to avoid that. Probate court has jurisdiction over adult guardianships, that's of the person, and family court has jurisdiction over minors. As far as conservatorship, probate court has jurisdiction over both adult and minor conservatorships. That's of the money. But we hope to avoid both of those either by the use of a healthcare power of attorney or business of power of attorney or a trust. And give you some points to ponder, some trivia. Jamie, we should have come up with a Super Bowl question this week. Okay. And here's another way of looking at our topics: estate planning, what probate court does, the problem-solving courts we've started, and the estate administration process. And here is an organizational chart just to let you know. Probate court, we get a lot of calls, people looking for the probation officer. Don't have much to do with that except in our drug court. But if we look over to the left, we'll see our estate division. We have 5 estate clerks. If you're ever probating an estate, you can look at the ending number of your estate case file and see that Amy has all cases ending in 0 and 5, Sharon 1 and 6, so forth. We do about 2,200 estates a year. At any one time, there's about 3,500 open. So the estate clerks are very busy. And with the use of technology, we've been able to keep the number at 5. To our right, we've got our commitment division. We hope people will get help voluntarily, but if not, we have an involuntary process called civil commitment, where we can order or mandate someone to get the help they need for their substance use disorder or mental illness. Down below in that conservatorship area, you'll see guardianship and conservatorship. We do about 1,000 of these cases open. Again, guardianship is of the person, conservatorships of the money. I should have mentioned on the commitment side, we do about 1,900, 2,000 commitments, and we go to the various hospitals. We hope people get help voluntarily, but if not, they get the civil commitment. And then we get our problem-solving courts to the right there, where if they're involved in the criminal justice system, we'll try to get them the help they need. Top right, anybody getting married? We've got a marriage license division. We do about 7,000 marriage licenses a year, and we got a program that's generating revenue for the county of Charleston, and it's called LOVE, Live Online Virtual E-Marriage Application, and we will take a look at that. Somebody else joining us. Good morning to our new edition. We're just going through what probate court does, and you will see a few more joining our organizational chart here. And again, we have the estate division, commitment, conservatorship, adult drug court, problem-solving courts there, marriage license. Bottom right, we have law clerks that help the judges and help the lawyers and help everybody on staff. If you ever need to get in touch with someone, we do our best to give you our direct dial numbers. I grew up in Condon's department store where customer service is #1. And so instead of having to go to a switchboard, you can call directly to that individual you're trying to reach. You will also see their email address. So hopefully you find this helpful where you can reach the person directly. And we provide these numbers to you. And Jamie, I think I sent those out to you, the slides and all. We're located down at the Four Corners of Law, and you'll see the mayor's office, bottom left, our state division, bottom right, state court, federal court, top right, and then the highest law, which is the church. And it's called the Four Corners of Law. Wasn't any great legal historian that gave it a name. It was Robert Ripley, believe it or not, gave it the name the Four Corners of Law. And actually found a local descendant, lives over in Robert Ripley. Miss Ripley lives in James Island. I don't know if I'm gonna show this. I don't know if y'all saw this guy doing donuts and during the snow issue. I'll show a little bit of it. You had others coming in. I will say that please don't try that. He actually was arrested and given a large ticket. So please don't do that if next time it snows. But somebody sent that to me. They I was debating whether to show that or not, but he got his just due, an arrest and a ticket. Our courthouse used to be the state capitol, located at the Four Corners of Law. You see it on the left there. It's been redone. It was done by an Irish architect named James Hoban. Hoban did our courthouse. Anybody Irish here today? If you look behind Hoban, it's the picture of the Dublin Parliament building. And when President Washington, whose bust is on the table there, visited our city in 1791, he liked the work Hoban had done. Hoban beat out the likes of Thomas Jefferson and ended up doing the White House. When you see the White House on TV, it's done by a Charleston architect. And if you're ever downtown, go across the street by the post office, and look back at our courthouse, and you'll see the resemblance. On the left there, we're over in Ireland, dedicating a monument to James Hoban. And that's my son in the plaid pants. Our luggage didn't make it, and so he had to buy some pants. And he's not quite sure what to do with the Irish young lady there. All right, what's the highest basketball court in the land? Big trade over the weekend. I saw that Denver and the Lakers had a big trade. Anyway, the highest basketball court in the land is above the U.S. Supreme Court. And if we were in person, I would have given a candy bar to the winner. But I've made 2 shots there. I'm 2 for 2. There's a basketball gym above the chamber of the U.S. Supreme Court. You can't shoot while they're having arguments, but recording session, but they do have a gym for the justices. This is my mentor, Morris Rosen. Jamie and I both worked for him. He passed about 10 years ago. Very much a Southern gentleman. And I always point this out, particularly when I'm speaking to young law students, that we all need a mentor, no matter what vocation we have. And we always need somebody to advocate for us. This picture of my mother, a year before this picture was taken, she was in the hospital, and the doctor of the hospitals gave us that talk that, it's time to let her pass. We told her that her mind was very good, and we wanted to get somebody from the outside to see what they could do. They gave an epidural. She lived another year plus and made it to her grandson's wedding here at the same church where she was married. So we always need somebody advocating for us as seniors. Estate planning. Let's talk about this for every family. We don't want your will to look like this. Actually, a will that was presented and accepted at the probate court. You'll see on the left there, we've whited out the names there. But a will in South Carolina has to be in writing, what this qualified for. Has to have 2 witnesses, which it did. But we want a little bit more than this. On the right there, you sort of see the list, my list going to Costco or whatever. We never know when God's going to call us. So we want to be prepared. So we definitely want a will. To make a will, you have to have testamentary capacity. Basically a 3-part test. Know the objects of your affection. Generally know what you own. and then generally know who you want to leave it to. To make a will is less than making a contract. Really just need a lucid moment. So let's talk about different documents that Jamie, we've emailed to you when we're considering estate planning. Very important to consider all of these. The one thing that I would say is everyone needs a will and everyone needs a trust. The question is whether the trust is inside the will or whether we have a revocable living trust with a will that pours over any assets not already in the trust. But we want to start with a checklist. And with a checklist, we would detail the assets that we own. And it's very important that you look at the source document. Many times we're not sure how we own property. We think it's one way when it could be a different way. We need to learn the concept of probate assets and non-probate assets. Probate assets are those controlled by the will, or if we don't have a will, by the intestacy statute. And then non-probate assets are those assets controlled by a third-party contract, such as a joint account with right of survivorship, a life insurance where you designate a beneficiary. You can use probate and non-probate transfers at death to accomplish your goal, but it's just very important to understand how your assets are held and what your plan is. And that's where an attorney can help you. And they'll use a checklist, someone call it a questionnaire. Anyway, that's the starting point. Again, make sure you look at the source documents. Number two there, we've got a will. And in a will, we name a fiduciary called a personal representative. Used to be called executor, executrix. You can use those terms, but the new term is personal representative. In all of our estate planning, we always want to have alternates. Alternate personal representative in case the primary can't serve or predeceases. Takers under the will, we always want to have alternates when leaving it to a son. If the son predeceases us, do we want it to go down to the grandchildren? So the attorney will work with you on all of those. I would point out in the document that's presented to you, there's provision for a written memorandum. So instead of coming back to the attorney each time, if you change your mind who's going to receive, say, tangible personal property, this would not be real estate. This would not be stocks or bonds or cash. But say it's rings, golf clubs, fishing rods. You can leave a memorandum that's referenced in your will. Just describe the property well enough. Otherwise, you'll have different devices in your will. Always very important to have a residuary clause that captures everything. But an attorney will help you with this. Very important to go to an attorney. We've seen some that have been done on their own. I remember one case where an aunt left her favorite nephew the large bank accounts that she had when she did her will herself to her least favorite nephew that lived out of state, couldn't see her as much. She left some real estate. Well, by the time she passed, the real estate went up in value and she spent down the bank accounts. So her plan to favor the local nephew did not take place. And that's where an attorney probably would have used percentages, maybe 60 or 70% to the favorite nephew and the other percentage to the other. That's where an attorney can be of assistance. So a will is not recorded until someone passes. The next document, a business power of attorney, is recorded when executed. It's recorded down at the Register of Deeds office. To be effective, the durable power of attorney has to be recorded. Power of attorney allows me to name my wife as my agent if I become incapacitated. If I'm battling one of my 15 kidney stones, she can still pay the bills. Power of attorney is like a will in that you can tailor it to what your needs are. An attorney will help you with that. Powers of attorney are very useful tools. It avoids that conservatorship. A conservatorship can be expensive because you have to have an attorney. You generally bring the action. We have to appoint an attorney and guardian ad litem for the alleged incapacitated individual. We have an examiner, a court hearing. You can see that can be much more expensive than just doing your estate planning and doing a power of attorney with your attorney. The downside, make sure you have somebody that you trust with the power of attorney, because they're not regulated or supervised, so they could breach their fiduciary duty and take advantage of the situation. Like the financial power of attorney, we've got another power of attorney called a healthcare power of attorney. It does not have to be recorded. It's generally given to your primary care physician. And if you look at the document, it's a statutory document, meaning it's the same for everyone in South Carolina. That allows our healthcare workers, our doctors, our nurses, our EMS workers to see the same form each time. Again, healthcare power of attorney, very useful tool. It has great flexibility, whether you want maximum care, withdrawal care. It's used during your life, not necessarily at end-of-life issues. End-of-life issue would be number 5 there, that declaration of desire for natural death. It's also known as a living will. It deals with end-of-life issues and not property like the living trust. It'll get confused with the living trust, but it's separate. A young lady named Nancy Cruzan was involved in an auto accident out in the Midwest, ended up in a ditch that had water, didn't have oxygen to her brain. She had indicated verbally that she wouldn't be kept alive in any vegetative state. The hospitals in the business of keeping us alive went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they found that you can withdraw the life support, but the declaration for the step you're taking needs to be in writing. And so that's why we have the living will. Number 6, the revocable living trust. Many people will use this as a will substitute, and it also helps manage the property during your lifetime. There's pros and cons of using a revocable living trust. Many attorneys advocate strongly for it. It avoids probate, though probate expenses are not that high. It's only $95 on the first $100,000 of probate assets. They will have you do a pour-over will in the event that you don't put everything in your revocable living trust. If you own property in a number of different counties or states, yes, then definitely it's advisable to have the revocable living trust. But I'd talk to your attorney and see what's best suited for your needs. Number 7 there is a combination living will, healthcare power of attorney, and sort of one of the DNRs. It's the 5 wishes. All right, what are the 2 certainties in life? 2 certainties in life. We always complain about one, and that's taxes. The other is death. So death and taxes, 2 certainties. The Aging with Dignity nonprofit out of Florida started the 5 wishes, wanting Americans to talk about death and dying. And it allows us to put in layman's terms what our desires are. If you Google 5 wishes, you can download the form, I think for $5, but work with your attorney and figure out what documents are best for you. Some of these documents replace or supplement and some of the other documents listed. So you just want to make sure you're consistent in your choices. If you want maximum health care, don't change it in another document. The DNR, the Do Not Resuscitate Order. I lost a brother to cancer about 8 years ago. He had indicated verbally he didn't want to be kept alive on life support. He knew that the cancer was going to take him in a matter of days, so he had a DNR in case he had a heart attack. He could just go ahead and pass, end his suffering, and end the suffering for his family. These are all tough decisions we have to make. The beauty of it is that we do make this decision. It takes the burden off of our family members. And again, many of these documents have moved from the doctor's office to the lawyer's office. So consider what's best for you. Another document piloted over at Roper St. Francis with the cancer patients is the physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. It's also in some states called a medical order for life-sustaining treatment. It's a combination of the documents we listed above, the healthcare power of attorney, living will, 5 wishes, DNR. Just figure out what's best for you. Many of us should consider organ donation. It's never too late to consider that. I saw a presentation last week from Sharing Hope that talked about that you never know how we can help and help somebody else live longer. Cremation is number 11 there. We wanted to consider cremation. Michael Jordan here, his father was tragically murdered in North Carolina. His body was dumped in a rural county in South Carolina. That county didn't have the space to keep him. So James Jordan's body was cremated. They did keep part of his jaw and his hands because the body had been decomposing. And then 2 weeks later, they had realized that they had cremated the body of Michael Jordan's father. Our state, many states stepped in and passed a new law called the Safe Cremation Law. So if you're considering cremation, get with your funeral home director, do a pre-need authorization, or get with your estate planning attorney, and you can put it in your estate planning documents. More and more people are choosing cremation. I talked to one funeral home the other day, and they had calculated that 74% of the individual they were servicing were choosing cremation. I ran across this guy. He's coming in from Maine. Everybody's visiting Charleston. And he said, being cremated is my last hope for smoking hot body. So there's a thought for you. And I'll show you another one. This man got run over by a steamroller. Pardon my bad humor here, but if you like it, give me a thumbs up. But if not, Jamie will have to remove that one. Okay, it's okay. Anyway, I got a good friend who's English and British humor. Anybody been down to the Dock Street Theater? I'm sure people have been down by the Dock Street on Church Street. Our office used to be right on the corner of Church and Chalmers. When I was in private practice, I was leaving the office late one night, and I noted to look to my right. Lo and behold, a car was coming from the left. Almost nailed me. I probably should have let him nail me. I waved to the guy, the man in the back. We've been friends ever since. Who was that? It was King Charles. King Charles and I made eye contact and waved. He about hit me with his car, but he was in Charleston visiting about 30 some years ago and had been to a play. And for security reasons, they were taking him out the wrong way down a wrong one-way street. Here's some resources to consider. We've got the Coastal Community Foundation. Again, if you don't want the burden of setting up your own foundation, they take that cost off of you. Our churches, our universities, they all can help you. So if you've taken care of your family and you want to help others, consider the Coastal Community Foundation. They just celebrated their 50th year. The Center for Heirs Property, very helpful for getting clear title to heirs property. They actually were a grant from the Coastal Community Foundation. They're now located up in North Charleston on Rivers Avenue. The late Reverend Clemente Pinckney was instrumental in getting that right for first refusal. So before an heir sells to a developer, the other heirs have an opportunity to buy. And you'll see, if you call them, they do have wills clinics. And I believe on Thursdays, if you call in advance, they will do a will. I think it's for $50. If you're looking for an attorney, another service, free service, it's called Martindale Hubble. And if you Google Martindale, and then you can look up the attorneys anywhere in the country. You can look at them locally here. You can see their areas of practice. You can see what their specialty is. And you can see their peer rating, A being the highest. So again, a free service there. Also, the South Carolina Bar has a lawyer referral service. And if you cannot afford an attorney, we're blessed with the Charleston Pro Bono Legal Services. You can see the income limits down the bottom right, but they're also there to assist you. Statewide, there's the South Carolina Legal Services, and you can see their income limits down at the bottom there. So there is help out there. If you don't qualify for one of those pro bono ones, we've got somebody sort of in the middle there, which is Charleston Legal Access. If you can't afford the full rate, but don't qualify for pro bono, Charleston Legal Access is there to give you legal representation. I'll point this slide out. The ABA is, we're always trying to get people, estate planning or any type of estate case, is to get them to mediate. They can mediate, then they can resolve, maybe keep the family relationships together. For our military, anybody military on today, we appreciate your service. Okay, Mr. Keeper, what branch were you?
I was Navy, 22 years.
Navy. Thank you for your service. We'll have to mail you one of our veterans treatment coins. So I'll get Miss Jamie to do that.
Good, thank you.
And I was also Army.
Ms. Hicks, your Army?
Yes, Army retired.
Army retired? Yeah. We'll get you one of our coins. I don't know what to say. Do I say go Navy beat Army, or do I say Army go beat Navy? I don't know.
Yeah, you had it right. Army beat me.
Okay. My dad was Army, so I lean that way, but I got a lot of friends that were in the Navy. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle was Navy. So.
Good, good. I'll get Jamie to get you one of our coins, but we appreciate your
Thank
service.
you.
And
Thank you very much.
thank you for your service. We talked about organ donation earlier. If you're considering a transplant, you can see the number of people waiting. And you can, there's one group called Donate for Life. The late Dr. Lawrence McManus started this service. We can do it a number of different ways: our driver's license, our healthcare power of attorney, different documents. So, and they also have forms for you and some educational material there. This is the other group that can also help, Sharing Hope. They deal with organ and tissue, and they can be of help too. So consider them. I finally made it to Italy. Those who have made it to Italy, this California family lost their son tragically. They donated his body to help others. The Italians did not have a organ or transplant program, and so they called it the Nicholas effect. They lost their son, but others are now following his lead in Italy, helping others. Elder law, we're all dealing with Medicare and Medicaid, long-term care, health insurance, even employment. But here's a free service called the Palmetto Project. They're located up on Rivers Avenue. You can make an appointment to visit them, or they'll come out to your place there. And they give free advice on the different options that can assist you. So again, another useful tool. Additionally, there's the Trident Area Agency on Aging. They also have a wealth of information. I would point out anybody caring for a senior, that family caregiver support program. It helps individuals take a break, and a caregiver will come in. But they have other resources, so I'd have you take a look at their website. They also are located in North Charleston. And we have the Department on Aging. We will have some reorganization, I think, statewide, but it's good to have a cabinet level position dealing with aging. Again, all of these, I'd have you check their website and see how they can help your family. Family services, Origin SC. I think we've got some family services and Origin individuals on today. They do wonderful help with finances and a range of services you see there. They're located in North Charleston. I've always called them family services. I guess they're doing business as Origin currently, but they serve basically across the state. I know many of the banks want $1 million, $2 million, $3 million before they will act as trustee.
Everything's decaught almost. He's almost finished up with the degrouting.
So
Go.
And so they can step in and assist you if the bank won't, and they also act as fiduciary, whether it's a conservator or whether it's even living agent under power of attorney or personal representative. Anybody from Family Services want to chime in or say good morning or anything else that y'all are doing? They're quiet, Jamie. They're on.
If Miss Bristow is on, she joined us this past Thursday at a seminar, sir.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Also for our veterans, remember this VA caregiver support line. Another useful, helps with legal and financial planning. So consider it too. A lot of good services for our veterans. And here's another one. Anybody that's Yaya means grandmother in Greek. It's a local service. They vet College of Charleston students. So if you need a caregiver on a temporary basis, they can come in and help you. And I believe they charge basically on an hourly basis. So careyaya.org. Take a look at them, but they vet and do background checks on individuals that will help seniors. And there's some other services like Aging for Life. There's a number of services. Jim, we probably should add a slide in here about seniors, because that's a wonderful tool there. They've got a magazine you may have seen, and then they also, I believe they've got a website.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you.
Okay. And if anybody else knows of resources we should add, let us know. We're always trying to add to our slideshow. Yeah. And everybody should take a ski vacation. Any skiers here? We gotta have skiers. Ski vacation? Nope. Yeah, we're all gonna be skiers.
Oh, yes, yes,
Good, good. Water or snow?
both.
Both. Fantastic. I got a third one for you. Spend the kids'
All right.
inheritance. They'll spend the kids' inheritance. It may not be taking the trip. It may be helping the
Yeah.
kid with college or a car, the prom, or just anything. So keep that in mind. And then if the kids aren't nice to you, you can always set up a pet trust. We now recognize a pet trust in South Carolina. And we had 2 dogs that got $900,000 in trust. Couldn't be kept outside on a chain. Any surgery was down to Auburn University. So, and then when the dogs passed, it went to the SPCA. And then a dog over on Kiowa got a home. So if the kids aren't calling you, tell them you're going to leave it to the dog or the cat. Okay. But if you love your dog or cat, get with your attorney, and you can also do a pet trust. Yeah. Let's just talk briefly about wills, probate, and estate administration. People always ask, well, after I do the estate planning, the will, when someone passed, what happens? In South Carolina, we have the version of the Uniform Probate Code, and we have estate administration, basically 3 ways. If it's under $25,000 and no real estate, summary proceeding, you can open and close it 30 days after a person is passed. Sometimes we have wealthy individuals that are revocable living trust, forgot to put something in the trust, and so they can do a summary proceeding to get that car or that boat over to the trust. Normal administration is most of our estates, and takes 9 or 10 months to probate. In normal administration, it's an administrative process where we give notice to what we call interested persons. If they don't object, then it goes to administratively. Interested persons would be those people named in a will called devisees. Number 2, those who are not named in a will, but who would take if there was not a will, called heirs. And then the third group are potential creditors, who we give notice through publication in the newspaper. And that publication is once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. Creditors period runs 8 months from the first publication. So you can see why it takes 9 or 10 months to probate an estate. We also have a statute of limitations of 1 year. The shorter of the two, 8 months from the first publication or 1 year from the date of death. Our contested cases are fewer cases, but take more of the judge's times. And you can start with a summary proceeding, then realize you have real estate moved to normal administration, and then have some type of contest end up at number 3. So you can move from the different ways here. I would note that the contested case, the will contest has kind of gone away, not only locally, but nationally. When I first started 30 years ago, we'd have 4 or 5 will contests. 1 or 2 would go to jury trial. Now, the kids aren't waiting until mom or dad pass. It's battles in the joint accounts, the powers of attorney, the trust, and in the conservatorship. Keep that in mind. If you're dealing with heirs property, we have all different charts we can give you dealing with the family tree. And I would note, if you do have heirs property, very important to probate the estate, probate the will within 10 years. We have a law that says if you don't probate a will within 10 years, it's as if you died intestate. So very important to have that. Also, the Center for Heirs Property can help you probating those estates or getting clear title through a legal action in the Master and Equities Court. So just keep that in mind. Many times people are living on the property, paying the taxes, and don't believe they need to go ahead and change or probate the will. Very important that you do. Right. What's a laughing heir? Who wants to be a laughing heir? Everybody ought to raise their hand. We all want to be a laughing heir. I've looked my entire career for a laughing heir. Somebody who finds out they've got a family member that left them money, didn't even know it, so they laugh all the way to the bank. I found Richard that lives over in Mount Pleasant. He got a check for $47,000. Family member he never met, never knew, large estate out of the Midwest. And he called him to make sure it wasn't a scam. It wasn't a scam. He asked him when the next check was coming, which he's up to about $85,000 or $90,000. So we all want to have a laughing heir right there. As far as probating an estate, then and now you had to come in person. We now have easy filing, so you can do it electronically. If you have technology at your home, if you don't have it in your home, you can go to one of our 11 county libraries or any library and probate the estate that way. So now we're open 24/7, and you can electronically send the documents. There is a $7 fee to probate the estate, and you can file as many documents as you want. As you see from the notes here that Jamie's put in, we're open 24/7, accessible for public attorneys anywhere in the world except for North Korea, and we're working on that. We've got Dennis Rodman talking to Kim Jong-un. We're going to get easy filing in North Korea. Trying to make you smile today. And again, it's a convenience fee payable to our, well, if you use a credit card plus a $7 fee to our Atlanta-based company, but you don't have to drive downtown. You don't have to use the mail. You can do it all electronically, and it saves you money and time, because the time you come down and pay to park, you're going to be ahead of the game. And once you pay that $7 fee, you can file 1 document, or you can file 1,000 documents. It stays the same, just a one-time fee. And again, if you go to any of our libraries, they range from Edisto all the way to the south of our county, all the way up to McClellanville and in between. And if you haven't been to our local libraries, I'd ask you to go visit those. They've been redone, they're beautiful, and they're high tech. And so I think you'll find the new libraries well done. I think the last one to be renovated will be downtown. So I think they're getting ready to work on the one on Calhoun Street. The Edisto, I was just out there the last week, and they've redone that library. And here I am visiting Otranto and showing you that I can e-file. Use a scanner, and you can get it right on in. But we are open downtown. You're welcome to come see us in person. But we thought you'd enjoy being able to easy file. And here's another one I'd have you look at, which is the unclaimed funds. Treasurer's program. You never know what's there. And I'd have you regularly, well, not regularly, at least annually, check that. It'll list if you are entitled to money. It'll say if it's over or under $100, and then you can file for that money simply by submitting documents electronically. Very helpful. You never know any type of deposit, any type of refund from anybody you've been dealing with. Instead of trying to track you down, many times they just shoot it or send it over to the treasurer's office. So take a look at that. And you might want to check your friends and family because they may have money there also. Trust and estates, what are we seeing at the court? We lost to Charleston 9. I grew up with Billy and Randy Hutchinson over at the playground. We found, and we're trying to change, most of our first responders thought it was bad luck to have a will. They're running into the building, we're running out. So we're trying to make sure our first responders all have access to making a will. And the manual 9, they showed us that love conquers hate. We had no violence then. They were all murdered. The late Reverend Clemente Pickney there in the middle was instrumental in getting that right of first refusal for heirs. Clay Matthews, a boxing coach over at the Citadel. He had a lot of family members that played in the NFL. They had to reform their trust. My son's always trying to collect autographs. I said they needed my autograph. So had all these autographs plus mine. This individual, we got the Masters coming up. This Charlestonian won the Masters. Very important that you tell your attorney everything in your family. He had lost his son who was coming to see him play in a tournament in a car accident. He didn't disclose to the attorney about this predeceased son. And so they had to reform his will and trust so that the children of the predeceased son also got a share. If you're famous, Shoeless Joe Jackson allegedly threw a World Series. He was illiterate, didn't sign many documents. He did sign his will, filed in the Greenville probate court. The residuary beneficiary of charity actually sued the probate judge to get the original because the baseball collector is worth about $75,000. Went all the way up to our state Supreme Court. They said, no, if you file an original document, it stays with the court. The Countess that started Spoleto, very large estate. She may have used that Martindale service to select her attorney. You can name your trust anything. Over in Aiken County, James Brown named his the I Feel Good Trust. And I won't sing for you because I can't sing very well. Okay. Marriage licenses, anybody getting married or having children or grandchildren getting married. We've got a love program for them, live, online, virtual, electronic marriage application. They can apply online. Our state legislature mandated a 24-hour waiting period. So once you apply, you wait 24 hours, we will send the license back to you. You do have to upload certain information, but take a look at that. Jamie threw this one in, and so it begins. I didn't like the tone of your I do. So who's getting married? We see a number of people. I actually ran into Dr. Gupta out in Folly Beach. So he married a Charleston girl. We got others coming through. Everybody's coming to Charleston to get married. And foodies. And this James Island couple, let me put this picture in just to show you our county is very good at signage. We've got marriage license division and then on the right, commitment division. So we're there to help you. Yeah. Civil commitment, we talked earlier about drugs and alcohol and mental illness. Affects all of our family members. We're here to help. We hope they'll get help voluntarily. But if they won't get help voluntarily, we have an involuntary process. And that allows either mobile crisis or you to fill out paperwork to try to get them the help they need. It's called civil commitment. And again, we hold hearings virtually at the various hospitals here. Again, we're here to help individuals get the help they need. And we've got centers for mental health. Mental health is sort of under one state agency. Alcohol and drug is under a different. And that's the Charleston Center new building located up there on Rivers Avenue. And for our veterans, we've got the Ralph Johnson Hospital downtown, newer facility up in North Charleston. Ralph Johnson was a Marine, gave up his life. He jumped on a grenade in Vietnam, saving his comrades. So very proud. It's very unique to have a private, have a ship named after him and a hospital, but he made the ultimate sacrifice. We have other organizations that help with mental health and wellness, a newer facility up in Latson, just in Charleston County, almost to Berkeley. Fentanyl is a terrible tragedy happening everywhere in America, even in Charleston. Here we're losing a lot to fentanyl. One pill can kill. And people smoke marijuana, and sometimes fentanyl's in there. People just don't know what they're taking, so it's very important not to. And one group that's trying to make a difference, Nancy Shipman lost her son Creighton to an overdose. She's started Wake Up Carolina to let us all know about the dangers. They have Narcan training, which can help prevent death at an overdose. If you haven't been trained on Narcan, I'd advise you to. You can get it free at Wake Up Carolina. They also have a training where they will certify you. Basically, it's nasal spray, and it's one, you don't prime it. It's a shot of nasal spray, Narcan, up the nose, and then you wait maybe 90 seconds, and you do the other nose with the other nasal spray, Narcan spray. Again, it can not hurt anyone, but it can save a life. And even for our seniors, my mom had a pill reminder box, and sometimes the pills in there can get mixed up. It can affect our seniors. So very important that we all have Narcan training. Again, the involuntary commitment process, I'd highlight mobile crisis. They go out in our community when somebody's in peril and try to assist them. If they take them into custody, they call a judge first, one of our probate judges, and then we staff the case and generally give them an order to allow them to continue with the involuntary commitment. Involuntary commitments, there's always due process, a court hearing, and then the various orders we might issue. We've had some high-profile cases come through. We want people to get treatment. They're generally closed to the public. We almost had a Sandy Hook. I did a commitment on Miss Bolin. She ended up having a gun over at later over at Ashley Hall. Fortunately, the gun jammed, and we had didn't have a Sandy Hook. But the law was changed. Those parents were instrumental in changing the law so that if you have a civil commitment or a conservatorship or a guardianship, you lose your right to bear arms. You can't have that right restored, though. And it'll be in this Nick's criminal background check. I ran across this down in New Orleans at Tulane. Sees the awkward. If we can just say hello, how are you doing? You never know how you might perk somebody up or help them. And there is help. We've got a suicide crisis line. It's 988. Again, mobile crisis. I can't stress them enough. Call this number if you ever have anybody that needs any type of help. And for lawyers, we've got lawyers helping lawyers. If we have any lawyers on, there's mental illness affects everyone, even lawyers. We're losing too many veterans to suicide. And so we have a veterans crisis line. And so 988 and then press 1. For those under civil commitment, we also have a court-assisted treatment. trying to use the tools of drug court, mental health court, to keep those under civil commitment engaged. Again, we talked about going voluntarily and then involuntary. We also have for those involved in the criminal justice system, problem-solving courts that will help. Now, what's Jane? I went down to Miami, and the late Judge Goldstein, a Brooklyn cop, turned lawyer, turned judge, started the first drug court. He came up here in Charleston and helped us. We try to turn people's lives around by supervising them, holding them accountable. We use incentives and sanctions to change behavior, not to punish. It's usually about an 18-month program. Similarly, I went out to Seattle, brought back mental health court. They were using the tools of drug court to start mental health court. Again, trying to keep people functioning. Happy to report that our numbers are down in mental health court because we do trainings, crisis intervention training. And maybe, Jamie, we can add a slide on crisis intervention training. We're training all of our police officers. They go through a 40-hour training. So instead of arresting many of our mentally ill, we're taking them to get treatment to the Charleston, Dorchester Community Mental Health Center. Similarly, we've got a Veterans Treatment Court. You're welcome to come see these. Veterans Court is Tuesdays at 4. Drug Court is Wednesdays at 4. And then, well, I should have said Veterans Court's at 1600 on Tuesday. And Drug Court's at 4 on Wednesday. And Mental Health Court is Thursday at 10 a.m. Anyway, I met Judge Russell at a conference. He started the first treatment court for veterans. We've got a Marine veteran running ours. We have a process where they go through, and at the end, we have a commencement, a graduation. We have speakers. In this case here, Brian, as you see, Chief Mullen was the speaker. When you're high on drugs and alcohol, you never know what you're going to do. Brian broke into Chief Mullen's house. Of all houses to break into, he broke into the chief of police house. Unfortunately, the chief was not home. Brian's alive. Here he is paying restitution back to Chief Mullen. If you look to the far left, you'll see Judge Brucey Hendricks. She visited our court and ended up starting a federal drug court. There's an opioid task force. And again, we're trying to keep track of what's happening in the community. DHEC does that. We can alert people if there's information that needs to be provided to warn people of bad drugs in the area. We talked earlier about estate planning. Again, if somebody has a bad drug or alcohol problem, you can also get a conservator or guardianship appointed for them. I will touch on it here more in the estate planning realm. We generally don't want a guardianship. We want to use that healthcare power of attorney to avoid the guardianship. Again, even if we have a guardianship, we want a limited guardianship. We want to give the people the greatest, family members, the greatest independence that they can handle. Again, guardianship is of the person, conservators basically of the money. Again, we can avoid the conservatorship by the use of a business power of attorney or by a trust. And you'll see the different reporting requirements. Now it wants to now it wants to jam on me at the very end. Here we go.
I'm so sorry.
Let me see. It wants to stop at manager. That happens. While I'm trying to fix this, does anybody have any questions, comments, anything we can help you with? You have any cases that, anyway, there we go. We do have reporting. And watch out for the scams that are out there. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. We also have a visitors program. So if you have anybody that's under guardianship, we were selected along with Maricopa County to monitor individuals. And so we have an assistance and monitoring program. We go down to the Charleston School of Law and I train law students. They go out in teams of 2, do wellness checks. They do assistance and monitoring, just trying to help our seniors. We also were selected by the National Center for State Courts to do a rapid response conservatorship project. And we were selected along with Detroit. Some other advocates I would have to point out to you. We have many senior advocates, depending on what town you're in. Some are at the mayor's office. Others are with the town police department. So you just have to see where you are in the community, what city you live in, what town you live in, or if you're in the unincorporated area, it's going to be the sheriff's office. So keep that in mind. Here's another one that I would have you jot down and sign up for. It's free for those in Charleston County, and it's called smart911.com. It allows you to put in information so that if EMS is coming to help you or any medical person is coming to help you, they'll have some background information. They'll know your health condition, your health issues, what medicines you're taking. They'll know your next of kin. You can put your pets in there. So it can be a very helpful tool when seconds matter. So keep that in mind. Again, that is smart911.com. Okay. Again, we do all these workshops. We record them. You can visit our website. If you can't sleep at night, we got some recorded. You can watch me again. I don't provide popcorn, but you can watch again. And again, we do free workshops. If you have a community group or anyone that you want us to come speak to, we're happy to. Jamie's our community outreach coordinator, and she does a wonderful job keeping us very busy with different presentations. Again, these are our virtual workshops for the year. Generally, it's the first Monday of the month at 10 a.m. And you'll see, and you're welcome to come back. So I got to get some new material. I get the same jokes. And you can scan to view our workshop videos. Again, we're there to help. Here's some of my ski trips. My son doesn't know spending his money with the Globetrotters. We went to Fenway Park. We went to St. Andrews, played some golf. Then we went out to the Olympic trials. Anna Cockrell on the top right finished third. I've never seen somebody so happy finishing third, but third meant she's going to the Olympics. She ran in Tokyo and in Paris. That's my wife in the middle there at Gum Alley, not the most beautiful place, but it's down below where all the flowers were up on top. Got me on a beach on a horse, couldn't believe that. Then we've gone over to Scotland and Ireland and actually gave them a portrait of James Hoban to the Irish Parliament. In the middle there is an Irish breakfast with heart attack on a plate, basically. We made it to Wimbledon and to St. Andrews there. And then for my Army veteran, I had to go see where my dad served, which was down in Panama. Jamie, I'll have to get you a picture of the barracks there. But the Panama Canal actually was constructed by a South Carolinian named Gilliard. He was instrumental in engineering the completion of it. If you look to the left there, top left, very wealthy city. It's amazing. Every ship that goes through there pays like $1 million to $1.3 million toll, generates about $5 billion in fees. And we have a number of Army bases down there. My dad was down there for World War II. They thought it might be attacked. And so he was down there protecting the canal. And then we recently went in 24 to Italy. I'd never been there. You see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. My son's growing up, Spanish Steps. Did a gondola ride. I thought we had old buildings in Charleston. I've come to the conclusion they're all new. Once you make it to Italy and see those buildings there, it's just amazing. Anyway, take that ski trip. I've got a whole sample file on the probate process, which I'm glad to go over. But let me stop there. Any questions, comments, anything I can help you with? Got some things in the chat. Jamie, maybe you can help me there. And they're all very nice. I can run anybody probating in the state of a loved one. Anybody probating in the state of a loved, I can run through typical estate file if you want.
Yeah, I'll be probating in my mother's estate.
You're doing that currently?
That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm working on the checklist that was
Okay.
given to me at the probate office.
Okay, sorry for your loss. When did she pass?
It's been over 12 years because my brother just passed now too. So
Okay.
it's just me to do it.
Okay, yeah, that one for your mom might be what we call a determination of heirs. When did your brother pass?
He just passed in October, the end of
Oh,
October.
okay. Did he have a will?
No,
Okay. Does he have any family or you're stepping in? I mean, does he have a wife
he
or?
has 2 children.
Okay. Are they a majority age or minors or
They're minors,
minors? Okay.
about 10 and 13.
Okay. And they have a guardian or they're with their mom?
They're with their mothers.
Okay. She may have priority based on them having priority if she's the caregiver or guardian for them. Okay, but I'll run through everybody's welcome to stay on. We'll run through a typical probate if my computer will here's a typical index. And I know it's harder to read, but it starts with a death certificate all the way down to a certificate of discharge. For a will, we need to present that to the court within 30 days. Once we open the estate, we have 30 days to give notice to what heirs and devisees. And then 90 days, we file what's called an inventory and appraisement. We also will select a newspaper, do that publication, and then the creditor's period is 8 months from that first publication or 1 year from date of death, whichever is shorter. And then when you get ready to close the estate, you send out closing documents, an accounting, a proposal for distribution, and a form called Notice of Right to Demand a Hearing. So basically at the end, you're going to show people what you did as the personal representative. If they object, we'll have a hearing. Most of them, there's never any objection. You can do it that way. Another way of closing the estate is instead of sending the closing documents, everyone can agree to waive the closing documents. And I'll show you a form to do that. If you're the sole heir, sole devotee, then you can also do what's called a verified statement. So in closing it, we have a regular way of doing it. We have a waiver, and then we have a verified statement if you're a sole heir, sole devotee. Let me run through these. We'll start with a death certificate. If we have a body, then we'll have a death certificate. If we don't, then we may have to have some other proof of death. In South Carolina, if you're missing for 5 years, someone can have you declared deceased, and that's through a court hearing. We had an individual hop on a plane, go to Atlantic City, never heard from, one of those unsolved murders. So then they came to court, they testified, yeah, on Mother's Day, birthdays, Christmas, holidays, he was always there and always sending a gift, just never heard from. So he could be declared deceased after that time. If we have an accident, then we had 2 boys drowned on Folly Beach. They found the body of one, not the other. We've had a couple plane, I know this latest one in DC, they haven't recovered all the bodies. They may not never recover them all. but they could have somebody declared deceased. We did have a small plane crash years ago off of our coast, and so then we had the report of the Coast Guard and the FAA. So death certificate, we have a body. Otherwise, if you're missing or there's an accident, there's another way to have you declared deceased. If you die with a will, it's called dying testate. If you die without a will, it's called intestacy. And we would follow the state statute, which basically follows your family tree. On me. We're going to start the probate process by the use of what we call Form 300, a blue form. Let me see. It's wanting to hang up on me, but we'll keep trying. And anyway, we'll have a form where we list information on the decedent, our loved one. It starts like this. All the forms are very user-friendly, and you'll see they're used for different situations. If we have an informal probate, you look over on the left, you'll see we checked application, probate of will and appointment. If we had a formal action, we check the boxes on the right. So we're going to give information on the decedent. On the second page here of Form 300, we're listing what we call devisees and heirs. Remember, I said earlier we have to give notice to interested persons. That's creditors through the newspaper, devisees and heirs through a notice publication I'll show you in a second, not a form that I'll show you in a second. In my situation here, I've got dad passing, survived by mom and 4 kids. 2 kids take under the will, 2 do not. And so that's why we have 2 of them listed down below. But we have to give notice to both heirs and devisees because logically they're the ones that could object if there was an objection needed. We'll list information about the will. We'll have an order of priority for the appointment of the personal representative. You'll see there it always is the person named under the will, and then it has a different order of priority for the appointment. Under the verification area, I would just note, if you do sign that, you're submitting to the jurisdiction, if you're out of state, to the court of this state. We've got an informal probate, informal appointment. You'll see that there. And then you qualify and sign statement of acceptance. If you're named as the personal representative, you don't have to serve, but if you do serve, you have a fiduciary duty to do it properly. Our parents and grandparents may remember coming down to the probate court and being sworn in by the probate judge. That's no longer the case. All right, everybody open their cameras. Show me your right hand if you want to play along today. Okay. I got to see the palm of your right hand. Palm of your right hand. Let's see. Julie, you're playing along. Quite see the palm of your right hand. Put it by the camera. Oh, slide it over some. There you go. Anyway, there we go. In the olden days, if you're dishonest, they'd take a red hot poker and send you a mark in the palm of your right hand. So that's when you see people taking the oath, that's what they're doing. You're okay. We're all good. Now it's all done informally on these forms here. Once you start the estate, we'll have 2 receipts, one to open the estate and then one for the fee for publication. You'll select the newspaper. We're down to basically 3 newspapers now. Again, you see that they range in prices. Whatever one you select is fine with us. It just has to be a newspaper of general circulation in the county. It's run once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. So that's how we give notice to creditors. If you have an intestate estate, many times you may have to post a bond. A bond is just an insurance policy that the personal representative does their job. In a will, wills don't require the posting of a bond. I haven't seen one yet, but if you're named in a will, you don't have to post the bond. The bond, the insurance policy, is calculated just on the personal estate. and it's 1.5 times the value of the personal estate. Does not include the real estate unless the real estate is sold and converted into personal property. You'll get a certificate of appointment, and you'll also get generally some letters indicating you hold the office of personal representative. So you can present this to the bank, to different people that may have assets, to show them that you're the person in charge of the estate. You've got a renunciation of right to administer. There's great flexibility in the probate code. If you're named as the PR, you can renounce your right to serve and nominate someone else. You can also waive bonds. So just always remember there's flexibility. Again, if you renounce your right to serve, you can't skip the alternate. We always want to follow the testator's intent, but you can always nominate someone. Here's the fiduciary letters, again, showing that you hold the office of personal representative for the estate. So you're sort of like the president of the corporation or the managing partner of a partnership. Again, here is the information to heirs and devisees. We're giving notice to interested persons. 2 of those are the heirs and devisees. So mom's going to give this to the kids, the 4 kids, and she's going to give the court a proof of delivery, basically an affidavit saying she's done her job as personal representative. 90 days after your appointment, you would file an inventory and appraisement. Again, you only have to list probate assets. In this example here, I've listed both. And you'll see that there's supporting schedules for each. Again, you have to look at the title and see how it's held. The probate fee is only calculated on the probate assets, does not include the non-probate assets. The one thing that I would mention to you, the one time the federal government is good to you is at death. They give you what's called a step up in basis. Let me try to explain that. If I bought a piece of property in Charleston 30 years ago for $10,000 and today it's worth $100,000, if I sell it for the $100,000, I deduct my cost basis, which is the $10,000, and I have $90,000 in income I need to report. If it goes through my estate and my wife sells it a day after I die for the $100,000, then she would have no gain. She could deduct the fair market value at my date of death, which would be the $100,000. So just keep that in mind. This is where your attorney, your accountant, your CPA can assist you. Again, you'll see supporting schedules there of both probate and non-probate assets, and you would just go through and list those. I will note at the end of the form, it's got encumbrances. These are sort of like who you owe money to. You only have to list what we call secured encumbrances, those that, relate to a piece of property or a boat or a car. You don't have to list the unsecured, which would be such as credit cards. The inventory and appraisement, again, is filed 90 days after your appointment. If you look at the top of it, you file the original. If you later change, you can have an amended inventory and appraisement. Again, do 90 days after your appointment. If you get behind on any of this stuff, just let us know and we'll give you an extension. We just need something in writing, either the extension form or an email or a letter. Here's the bill that you'll receive, and you'll note that the probate fee, if you look about 3/4 of the way down, it's $95 on the first $100,000 of property. So that's when you're over there doing the estate planning. You've got to decide if the administrative cost of setting up the trust, revocable trust, outweighs the benefit of just going through probate. And you'll get a receipt paid. Here's an example of creditor's notice. Again, it runs once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. We batch them and pull them together. We'll send these probably back to you after a month because you have to have the 3 weeks of publication. We'll file it with the court and get you a copy also. Creditor's claim. Again, we use different colored forms. There actually was a case in Greenville where the attorney argued that the creditor's claim was filed on a white sheet of paper. It needed to be on pink. Our Supreme Court said no, as long as you file it, it can be on any color piece of paper. So if you see the blue and the golden rod and this pink, you can use just white paper. Again, once a claim is filed, you as the personal representative have 3 options. 1, If you think it's a valid claim and you have assets, you may want to wait till the creditor's period expires. Make sure you have enough assets to pay it. You can pay it, so you can pay it. You can say it's a valid claim, you can compromise it, or you could send a notice of disallowance. At the court, we just want to make sure to see that you've handled it, you've either paid it or sent a notice of disallowance. Some creditors will wait to the end before they file an allowance of claim. And there's a notice of allowance. And just as I said that, it wants to jam again. Any questions? Again, if you're the personal representative, you can allow the claim, disallow, or compromise. And for our seniors, we always tell them to let the insurance run its course, particularly health insurance, before we pay a bill. I know mom ever got a bill, she'd want to pay it right away. Sometimes you want to wait and just see if there's any other health insurance that's going to kick in. Deed of distribution, if you have real estate, you have to file a deed. It's considered practicing law, so you need to get an attorney to do that. We have very many experienced estate clerks, but they cannot draft a deed. As I said, it's considered practicing law. You file this with the Register of Deeds office or give it to us and we get it to them. And you'll have the title on there, legal description. Again, you want to wait until the creditor's period expires before you give up your right to that real estate as the personal representative. You make sure all claims are paid first. Again, I mentioned earlier 3 ways to close an estate. You can do a verified statement. I'm the sole heir, sole devotee, so I do that. There are other heirs or devotees. I can do the standard closing documents, or say the family agrees, mom's probating the estate, we'll just waive all the filing requirements. We know she's going to take care of us, and there's no need to put it on the public record. Here's the verified statement, basically saying I've done my job as personal representative, and I now want to close the estate. And here's the accounting. Again, disclosing what we did as personal representative. We give as much detail as we can. You can attach supporting schedules. Again, we're disclosing to the heirs and devotees what we've done to give them an opportunity to object. And if you haven't distributed an asset, we have what's called a proposal for distribution. This is what I'm planning to do. And so you can list that, and you'll send it with the closing documents, and then we'll see a form called Notice Right to Demand a Hearing, and they can then do that. If you do give an asset to someone, always get a receipt. Have them at least sign that. We hope that they'll sign this receipt and release with waiver. Many times people are leery to sign a waiver. If you're getting a specific item like a brick or a sum of money, because in this waiver it says I forever discharge the personal representative of any liability. So many people are leery of signing that. Again, the second way, if we had a waiver of all the requirements, this is one of the ways to close the estate. Mom's done her job. We're just going to sign a waiver. She's given us information on it. We don't need to put it in the public record. Here is the notice right to demand a hearing. I've done my job as PR. If you have any objection, I've enclosed the closing documents. You have 30 days to come forward. If they do come forward, then we have a final hearing. Doesn't happen that often. Yeah. Again, you're going to file an application for settlement. I would have you note check 5C, which is discharge. If you check 5A, which is consider approve the annual accounting, that 5C is what we want to do. Let us know that we want to close. Again, at the end, we're going to send the closing documents and the normal administration. Again, we send it just to the 2 kids that were taking. Earlier, we had to give it to the kids who were not takers, let them know a probate has started. Here it narrows just to the takers. And then you'll get an order closing the estate. And remember, if you get behind in closing it, send us an extension form. If you do close the estate and later discover other assets, you can do a subsequent administration. It does not reopen the creditors period, but it allows you, say you find a stock certificate you didn't know you had, you already closed the estate, you can reopen it. For some reason, they came up with the fee is $22.50 to reopen it. That's kind of what it is. Any questions on estate administration, probating an estate? That is a quick overview. Yeah. But hopefully you'll get associated with these.
Yes, I have a question on the exemplification kit. What is that?
I'll get Jamie to chime in. Generally, you have another real estate that's in another county or state, and we got to send them the paperwork to show that the property, sort of like an ancillary probate, that is being handled here in Charleston. We see them both ways come in from other probate courts, and then we send them to other courts just to let them know that the real estate, say in Greenville County, is being probated here. Jamie, you want to chime in with some more details?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. So once we send a photocopy of the pertinent documents that quote unquote foreign court would need, that's the term we use to identify the court that's not the one that is us, be it outside of Charleston County or outside of the state of South Carolina, the foreign court. They would typically want a certified copy of the will, if there's one, the application you completed to be appointed, the inventory. So and the fiduciary letter, excuse me, the document that confirmed your appointment. And they, in turn, that respective court would send to you and to us an order that shows you the case number that you would need to attach to the deed that you file in their respective deeds office.
And do I need to have a lawyer do that, or is that something that I, as the personal representative, can do?
It is ideal that a lawyer would be helping you with it. In particular, the completion of the deed form, since we clerks are unable to answer questions on that specific document.
If you can complete the deed or the legal description, we can help you with, sending the package to the other county.
Okay, so is the package sent by your court, or is that sent to the personal representative who then takes it to the other court?
That would be our court would be sending it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some courts, for reasons unknown to me, they want it directly from the court. I presume it just makes it that much more of an official delivery to them.
I see. Yeah, I'm working with Dorchester County, so I was just trying to get lined up on the logistics of all of that.
Yeah, I would reach out to Judge Blunt and the court over there. We try to be consistent, but it doesn't always happen. So I'd have you double check with them.
Yeah. All right, I will do that. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions for today? Otherwise, we're going to do our estate planning. We're here to help you with probate, and everybody's going to take a ski trip. How about that? My numbers are there if I can ever help you. If you think of a question after we close the day, my direct dial number, that 958-5193. There's my cell, 817-2039, and then my email address. If we can ever help you, that's why we're here.
Yeah, and I just want to comment. Your team is just phenomenal. They're Nicole and everyone in your office I've worked with has just been a great help.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. Thank you. I will pass that along. Thank you. Jamie, anything else? We're all good?
Yeah, we're all good. You covered everything, sir, and thank you.
Okay. If y'all have any questions, I know sometimes you get off this, you'll think of something. reach out to myself or Jamie or anyone at the court. We're here to help. Y'all have a great day. Super Bowl week. Have fun. Yeah.
All right,
you,
thank
Coach.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.